Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just harvested a ton of habanada peppers from my indoor garden, so I thought it was time to do another aerogarden experiments video. Habanadas are these fun little orange peppers. They're about 2.5 inches in size, so maybe small to medium sized pepper. And they look super spicy. They're deep orange in color. They've got these little ridges on them, but they actually don't pack any heat. The name kind of gives it away, habanada. So basically a habanero with no heat, so habanada. I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. And yeah, nice thing is these are highly productive. This was probably my third harvest, and I ate some of them already. I froze some of them, and these all just came from 2 plants, so probably easily got about 100 from each plant, and I did end up pulling the plants out early. They could have kept producing, so I think generally when you're growing indoors you tend to get a little bit less production than you would if you're growing outside, but you definitely still get a lot with these habanadas, so they're a fun thing to grow. And yeah, let's get into it. This is all about growing habanada peppers indoors and some just tips and tricks for growing it hydroponically in general. I started these in early May along with a couple other pepper varieties, and I like to grow different varieties of the same kind of vegetable in batches, like together at the same time, and then that way I can kind of compare how different cultivars do compared to each other, especially in an indoor gardening kind of environment. In general, I prefer growing hot peppers, but I think you always want to have at least one sweet variety so that you're not burning your tongue off. And in the past I've grown bell peppers, but when I saw this heatless habanada variety, I thought it was something different and something fun to try, so I gave these a shot. I would say that the hotter the pepper is, the more tricky it is to grow, and since these pack no heat, they were relatively straightforward. I direct sowed these in my aerogarden. I like growing hydroponically indoors because it's faster, it's cleaner, it's more efficient, and you're not limited to a specific time of year. You can go all year round. So I started these in May, like I mentioned, and typically May would be way too late if I was growing outdoors. I'm on the East Coast in New York City, which is like zone 7, and May is just way too late. You would have to start these probably around February, March if you were going to plant outdoors. You can buy pre-seeded pods from aerogarden, or you can use your own seeds, which is primarily what I do. I found these in a seed catalog from an heirloom seed company, and they looked fun and they looked different. I like the contrast between it looking like a ghost pepper but tasting sweet, so I thought they would be fun. In order to plant your own seeds, you just need the Grow Anything kit, which is essentially empty sponges and plastic pods. So once you pick that up, you drop the seeds directly in the sponge. It's very easy. I have a whole more in-depth tutorial on how to use your own seeds, which I will link up here. And in general, I find that peppers need quite a bit of space, both like horizontally and vertically. So I planted these in my aerogarden farm. It's the 24XL model, which has space for up to 24 plants. But like I said, peppers need a lot of space, so I wouldn't plant 24. Generally, a good rule of thumb is 3 to 4 spaces per pepper plant. And then these habanadas can easily grow up to 3 feet tall, so the XL model is a good one because it has 3 feet of vertical growing height. The habanadas germinated quite quickly in about 8 days, so very, very straightforward. They slowly got bigger and bigger, and they had this really interesting kind of straight tree-like shape, which made them very easy and very neat to grow. So I didn't prune these. Sometimes I prune pepper plants to encourage them to be a little bit bushier. I am kind of experimenting now with pruning some things and leaving others alone. So the habanadas I just left alone, and they had a really nice bushy shape all on their own, and they continued to grow tall over the next couple weeks. I also kept up with nutrition. I've used a lot of different types of nutrients at this point, so I think they all work pretty much the same and pretty well. Just depends how much time you want to dedicate to it. I'm pretty hands-off, so I just use whatever I have on hand. Right now it's these powder nutrients. Once the plants started putting out flowers and entering that fruiting stage, then I add a little bit more phosphorus to encourage more blooms. Okay, update on the habanada. The two in the back are the habanada plants, and for some reason this guy is taller and just like much larger, but he has produced absolutely 0 fruits to date. And this guy in the back is much smaller, but has produced 4. So I've got 2 little ones there, 1 big one there, and then another one back there. So I don't really understand what's going on. Plus this guy benefits from both this light and that light, so he really should be producing a lot more. So far I'm just getting leaves, which is just kind of a waste. I planted 2 habanadas. One started producing peppers all on its own, which is great. The other needed a little bit more help, so I did some manual pollination. You can go in with your finger and just kind of gently tap the center of the plant. You can also use a tool to make it easier, like the aerogarden Be the Bee. It's kind of like a vibrating wand and just helps you get like right in the center of the flower and ensure that you're mixing the pollen without damaging the delicate flowers. I would say definitely these peppers are a little hard to pollinate because, as you can see, the flower is very small and it doesn't really open up. So you kind of gotta like jam your finger in there to pollinate it, and they seem to dry up and fall quite quickly. And then once the peppers did start to grow, they start out kind of translucent, which looks scary. It looks like a ghost pepper, and they gradually get a little darker. They kind of turn like a neon yellow-green, and then they gradually ripen to orange. So when they're a deep, solid orange like this, they are totally ripe and ready to harvest, but they start out more of like a translucent-y, neon yellow, like that. And as for maintenance, I found these super productive. They really, once they started putting out peppers, they just kind of grew on their own, and I left them alone, and they were super productive, which I was really happy about. Some pepper plants can be really tricky, and you can only get 2 peppers after slowly like growing and nurturing them for 6 months, which is always disappointing. So these, each one easily had about 50 growing at the same time, and basically as they would ripen, I would harvest. You always want to pick off fruit that's ready to encourage the plant to produce new fruit. And then occasionally I would prune leaves just to focus the plant's energy on the fruit, but I didn't really do that often. I did go on vacation a couple times during the growing period, and whenever I went away, the plants kind of went crazy. They got super bushy. They didn't keep that nice little Christmas tree shape. The peppers started like weaving in and growing into each other, and the stems, the length in between each node, grew really long. So I recommend just checking in on your plants like once a week, and that'll help keep them nice and tidy. But overall, it's not too big of a deal. They're really kind of a nice set it and forget it plant, so you don't have to be too precious about it. And then as for harvesting, I took off as many peppers as I could. I got tons. I actually don't even know what to do with them because I have so many. This is just the latest batch. So they taste like sweet, slightly floral peppers. They've got pretty good flavor. They are super productive. I have tons of these, And basically you would use them like you would any sweet pepper. So in salsas, in tacos maybe. I'm planning to pickle some of them. They're just a fun little handy pepper to have around, especially if you're someone that doesn't really like spicy food. I'm kind of running out of ideas of what to use sweet peppers for because I don't really eat peppers that often. So if you have any recipes or ideas, then let me know. Overall, these were super straightforward, very easy to grow. I highly recommend them. If you don't like hot peppers, or if you just had a hard time growing hot peppers indoors, then try these out. They're very, very straightforward. I did try growing like California bell peppers one year, and that was pretty difficult. So these are a nice sweet pepper alternative. I mean, they're smaller, but they are much easier and you get a ton of fruit. And yeah, that's everything I learned about growing habanadas. If you have any suggestions for other sweet pepper varieties to grow, I'm always looking for new ideas. And if you have any questions, then just let me know.